Hi everyone and welcome to a new video. As we all know, the market has been pumping in the past 7 days and sadly one of my farms has been dumping. So we'll take a look at which one that is in this video, and of course we'll go over all the other farms that I'm still in and what I'm going to do when it concerns my strategy in the upcoming weeks. If you're interested in finding out more, be sure to continue watching, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe at the end of the video. So let's start by addressing the elephant in the room. The Dino token has been dumping for a few days now, and in the past few hours it added another 30% dump. As we can see on the price chart, the time when I made my previous video would have been the perfect time to sell, which is more or less 2 weeks after the token launched. Sadly, I made the decision to wait another week and continue farming, which of course was very risky and it hasn't been rewarded at all. Thankfully, I was up really early today, so I was able to pull out my tokens at around this point. This does mean that even though we had a really high APR, I still have a small loss. So on the DinoSwap website, we can now see that liquidity is down to 22 million. If I recall correctly, on the 26th of July, it was at 36 million. Then it went all the way up until the 2nd of August to 64 million. 2 days later, it went down to 42 million. And now 4 days later, it went down to 22 million. So yes, it is important to keep an eye on liquidity, but the volatility is so high, it is so difficult to make a decision. So in this case, I decided to either pull my tokens when my total value would have been 10k, which of course we didn't make. The highest that I got was about 7.5k. And the other option was that I would wait until the end of this week, which is of course what I did. And sadly, I had to take it out with a small loss. Of course, the only thing we can do is try and learn from our mistakes. So when looking at the graph, I think at about 10 days, it would have been an optimal point to start selling. I've seen a similar thing with, for example, Fish token. So the Fish token started on the 10th of May. We add 10 days, then we arrive here. So yeah, that would have been a pretty good time to sell. The perfect timing, of course, would have been impossible, but this is around that 10 to 14 days mark. It seems to be a very good time to sell if you're into the project very early on. If we take a look at another example, for example, Qi-Dao started on June the 4th. We add 10 days, that would put us here at $1.5. Would have been a nice gain if we would have waited 14 days. Then we would end up here, which is definitely better. So it does seem that between 10 and 14 days, there is a sweet spot when it comes to risk taking. Of course, these are just 3 examples. Let's take a look at another one, Polyzap, for example. This is more of the classic dump farm token. So if you would have started here and we would have stayed in for 10 days, so until the 28th, then I guess we would have been out still before the big dump right here. So in a way, it does seem to hold up. Let's take a look at one more, Boneswap. This is also a very classic example of a farm token being dumped from the start. So we started on the 16th and on the 26th, we are still doing pretty okay. So for new farms, I'm going to adjust my strategy if I'm interested in the farm token, yes or no. I'm going to take a look at when the farm token started. I'm not going to buy the farm token to avoid this first dump. So if I'm able to start from day one, then I'll probably provide liquidity in AAVE USDT or another quote-unquote stable pair, and then after 3 days of collecting the farm token, then I could consider farming those farm tokens that I accumulated and let them in there for another 10 days, which seems to be the max for most farming projects. Of course, none of this is financial advice. It is just me saying out loud what I'm thinking and how I'm going to try and do it better next time. If you have a different strategy, please do share it in the comment section. Another thing that I'm going to change is the USDT that I borrowed against my USDC. So in the beginning, I was actually getting more APR, so more rewards in return than I had to pay in interest. Right now, most of the time, I'm paying more interest than I'm getting rewards. So I'm going to pull out this USDT. I already have about $5,000 from the DinoSwap pool. So that is half of the USDT that I borrowed. Then we'll take a look at the other farms that I'm still in. So the first one is Qi-Dao. I'm going to stay in this one For now, the token has been holding up pretty well around that 1 USD mark, so I'm going to keep farming at 200% APR. That's still a really, really good return. I'm going to harvest on a daily basis. So right now I have 10 Qi tokens, which I'll harvest in just a second, and then I'll put them in the booster. So last week the booster gave an APY of almost 300%, which is great, of course. So I'm going to continue and compound these Qi tokens in the booster on a weekly basis. Next we have Quickswap. I have about $4,500 here in liquidity, which I'm going to pull to then get rid of that borrowed USDT over on AAVE. I'm not going to buy in just yet. I've made some nice profits on the ETH. Matic, not that much, but right now in the market I think we're at a really interesting turning point. We don't know if we're going to break that very key level of resistance or if we are going to have a correction. I would rather have some money on the sidelines to buy back in on ETH at a lower point, and then I'll probably re-enter these pools. The next one, which I totally forgot about, was Boneswap. So apparently I still had a Matic USDC pair in here. Sadly, I'm only getting 13% APR, which is less than on the Qi-Dao platform, so it doesn't make sense to leave it in here. So I'm going to harvest these tokens and unstake my Matic USDC and move it over to the Qi-Dao platform. Last but not least, I still have a ETH USDC pair over at Polyzap, which is about $2,500 right now. So I'm going to pull a little bit of this liquidity to top off the remainder of the USDT that I've borrowed. Alright, now that all the money has been shifted around, it is time to repay. Let's repay the maximum amount. Continue. Approve. The question, of course, is what I'm going to do next. Well, right now I like to keep it in USDC and keep my options open. I want to see a confirmation that the bull market is back on, or that we're still in the bull market, and then I'm going to use this USDC to buy some Ethereum and Bitcoin and then borrow against those two assets and then start getting back into those farms. Right now I'm going to stay in the Qi-Dao farm. As you can see, I've moved over the my USDC over here, so that's 1,000, and I still have that 1,200 US dollar worth of the my Qi token. Now, the other thing that I'm taking a look at is the Polycat Finance. As you can see, they've updated the website. You also probably know, if you watched my previous videos, that I staked the fish tokens and got the PAW token in return. So right now I have about $700 in PAW token, and I also decided to keep these 82 fish tokens in my wallet. So right now, since I have freed up some money and I freed up the liquidity that I put into DinoSwap, I am going to take another risk on a farm token, which right now is a PAW token. I already have 600. So I will enter the new vaults that should launch in about 1.5 days. So let's just take a look at what the possible returns are. So these returns are, of course, pre-launch. They will drop very fast. But since I already have the PAW token, I will enter the PAW USDC pool. And I also have the fish token still left, so I will enter the fish USDC pool as well. And then I'm probably going to enter with about $3,000 in this stablecoin farm as well. So right now my strategy is to enter with about 7,500 USDC, which is half of my stack. I know this is a really big portion to put in one platform, but Polycat Finance has been around for quite some time in farming terms. And this is already the second iteration, so I feel more or less comfortable taking this risk. But always keep in mind, there is always smart contract risk and there is always a small risk of a rug pull. So please do your own research. In this case, I will have to withdraw 7,500 USDC. Now, if you would be holding other assets like Matic, Ethereum, or something else, or the AAVE token, there is a very nice option out there, which is on the Qi-Dao platform. If you click on Vaults, you will see that they have AAVE market tokens. This means that you can leave your wrapped Matic, wrapped ETH, or AAVE on the AAVE platform and continue to earn interest, then borrow against them on the Qi-Dao platform at 0% interest, and then use the stablecoin that you can get in return to buy whatever tokens you want and farm those tokens. Sadly, in this case, I'm working with USDC, so I'll have to withdraw. There is no other option. There we go. So rather than going to Quickswap, we have to provide liquidity on Polycat Finance new AMM. So in this case, I decided not to go for USDT, but for DAI. So we're going to create this pair, and then we'll go down the list of all the liquidity that I want to provide. All right, everything has been deposited into farms. So in the upcoming days, I will be gathering the farm token and then reinvesting it in one of these two pools, depending on how good the returns are. And I'll be doing that for about 10 days. After that, I'll just pull out the farm token and I'll continue farming whatever farm is interesting with whatever token that I prefer to keep. Alright, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you got any comments, any tips, please do share them in the comment section below. If you haven't liked the video yet, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. That's it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.